It was a complete free fall in the stock market today. Like PSU stocks crashed heavily. If you're watching this video, I'm pretty sure you have some investments in the PSU space, and like if you're wondering if this is going to continue from here on, I'm going to share a lot of insights of what I'm seeing, what I think is going to happen, what should you be doing if you have some trading positions, and if you're an investor. Stick to this video, watch till the end, because I'm going to share a lot of insights from this. First, let's address the elephant in the room. PSU index crashed about 4.5% today, and I think that was a brutal fall. The last 1 week's high, it was somewhere around 18,700 and it closed about 17,564. So that's close to more than 1,000 points off its highs. Now, what is this pattern suggesting on this chart? So I think the first thing is like the market has run up very much in the last 6 or 8 months. Like it is in a complete linear one-way upside move. We did see some sort of correction in October, but that did not last. And I think now that we are seeing some sort of correction, we're afraid if this is the top of this market and if you should be exiting your positions. I have few points on this. Let me share some broader perspective on the PSU index. Let me just clear the air. I think like we may see some sort of correction, but we still have a very long way to go in the PSU basket. I'm not saying that PSU stocks are not overvalued if there is no euphoria in PSU stocks. In some select companies, there is euphoria, like from the likes like Central Bank of India, Indian Overseas Bank. Central Bank of India's market cap is 52,000 crore, and like I think it's very high if you look at its historic like data. Price to book is still very high. There are other PSU banks that are comparatively cheaper when you look at their market cap, their loan book. So select stocks, I'm not saying Central Bank of India is a bad company, by the way. Like select stocks are extremely overvalued right now, and we're going to see some sort of correction. But what should you be doing if you're a long-term investor? What should you be doing if you're a trader in this market? Now, let's look at the reasons of why it has gone up and why it's coming down, and what was the percentage by which those stocks have gone up. Let's just look at the data. So the PSU index was somewhere around 10,000 in the last year, February 2023, and it is close to 17,564. So that is what, 75% rise at the current level. So if an index goes up by 75%, so you can imagine the individual stocks positions. 75% in a single year is very, very high. And you look at historical returns of PSU index, it's been trading flat from 2014, from between 6,000 and 10,000. So in a broader perspective, we don't have any sort of major returns, but in the micro level perspective, that's 1 year perspective, the returns are very high. If you are experienced in the stock markets, you can understand that if a stock goes up suddenly, there would be a cooling period, and then it'll take some time to consolidate in that phase, and then we'll see the next rally. PSU stocks are going to see the same style of movement in this market. And don't forget, there was an announcement from the PM. In the next 20 to 30 days, they're going to make a major announcement of reforms. Now, if that announcement comes in, we're going to see a very sharp movement in those PSU basket, because the market will factor in what are the next growth drivers for those stocks. And if you look at the reasons why it went up, like everyone knows that the government is actively pushing the PSU companies to grow, and all these stock prices have ran up. And then we see some sort of correction and we see more announcements from the government. Like recently we saw in the solar space, and then suddenly in 1 week, all those solar related companies went up. But then like in the last 2 or 3 days, we saw over the weekend, we saw all these solar companies like publishing the results, and then suddenly PSU companies go down and they go down with them. So that means that when government announces all these major reforms, it takes time for these companies to generate those returns, those revenues. As those companies receive those orders, those revenues come into their books, and then those stock prices will go up gradually. If REC is giving out loans of 1 lakh crores, it doesn't mean that the stock price will factor in 1 lakh crores of loan book. It might factor in some 20-30% of it for the next 2 or 3 years, and then as the stock moves up, the company delivers result, they'll start factoring even more from there. Most of these PSU companies that we are seeing, they are mid and small cap, and like correct, like for a stock to correct 20-30% in a small cap, it's not something new. It's very normal. A stock can go up by 100%, then it means that it can come down by 20-30%. And that's what we saw in stocks like SJV. And you can see that even though it's a great company, right? It's a great company. It made a high of 150 in the last 1 week, and then today it's at 112. So that's a steep fall in last 1 week, close to 20%. So let me share something that I'm looking at. So all these PSU companies have delivered like good returns. I wouldn't say they are bad, but they are also not up to the mark that the market was expecting. And that's one of the reasons that all these PSU stocks are crashing. It's not just profit booking, it is results as well, because the market is factoring in a lot of events that when you're in a situation where all these stocks run up in a short span of time and then suddenly it crashes, you think that's the top. But there's also another reason that PSU companies have not delivered. I'm not talking about all the PSU companies, some PSU companies that in the last 2 or 3 days did not deliver returns as expected by the market, and that's why they think that this would be a cooling off period, or it might be a top for this small trend. So like we're entering in the pre-election phase, and we might see announcements from the opposition side as well as on the ruling side. So that is another tricky area that you can focus on. I don't like talking about politics, but since it affects the market, you have to look into those news as well. Stick to your risk management if you're a trader. Look at broader returns if you're an investor, and make your decisions accordingly. That's my point of view. Look at micro picture and the macro picture. I hope this video helps. I hope you found this useful. Please subscribe to this channel if you're into the stock markets. I also share videos on the business side. That's on my Business Nerd podcast. Go check out those episodes. I've had a lot of guests from the stock market as well. Alok Jain from Beacon Investing, Vishal Mehta from Market Screener, and a few TV anchors like Manglam Malu from CNBC TV 18 and Neeraj Shah from NDTV Profit. I hope you found this useful. Until next time, peace.